Little runes already hang like a leaky tarp. So today we'll show you how you can seam seal your tarp. All our tarps are sewn with a combination of special thread and needle to prevent water from leaking through the seams. But in perhaps 5% of our tarps, made of sil nylon, water might form under the seam in heavy rain. Regular seam sealing tape doesn't stick to this kind of fabric, and along with drying time and factory floor space, it would make the process very costly and far more time consuming. And before you ask, the reason why we use a fabric that can't be seam taped at the factory is because those fabrics are neither as strong, tear resistant and lightweight as the sil nylon. Additionally, the sil nylon tarps are very easy to pack. So let's get to it. Okay, so first of all, what to seam seal? I'll start by packing out the tarp here. So, first question is, should I seam seal the inside or the outside of the seam? So, you should only need to seam seal the outside. So we're not gonna bother with the inside. Also, it's only the seam that you need to seam seal. You don't, hence the word. So you don't need to put seam sealer all over the fabric, and neither do you have to seam seal the sides. So it's only the seam in the middle that goes across the length of your body in drummer mode. Okay, now it comes to how to seam seal. The best trick there is to follow the instructions on the tube, so we will do that afterwards. But a pro tip is actually to stretch out the tarp on a flat surface, and if you want to have the seam all stretched out, because now the tarp is pretty curly, you can attach the two guy lines that goes from the seam. So we will do that now. Okay, so now we're ready to apply the seam sealer. Before we start to apply, always read the instructions. So, number 1, for best result, wipe surface with isopropyl alcohol before applying. Since this is a new tarp, we don't need to do that, so we're going to skip to number 2, which is hold the tube flat against the seam, squeeze slightly and draw along seam. It's not going to look very pretty if I start at one end and then go all the way over to the other side. So we're going to do sections, and we're going to squeeze slightly so there is not too much seam sealer coming out of the tube all at once. Okay. So we can start now by taking this first 30-40 centimeters. Now that we're done with the first section, take some paper towel or a clean cloth to wipe up the excess. And this is also why we do one section at a time, so this doesn't dry before we can get away some of the excess seam seal. Okay, now that we're done, it says it only needs to dry 2 to 4 hours, but it can be a good tip to leave the tarp overnight to dry. That's it. Good luck.